You want to know what the definition of overkill is? This is probably a pretty good representation of the definition of overkill. What's up, everyone? My name is Biku, and this is, for once on this channel, not something that I built, but something that my father built. Now, what is this, might you ask? This is the result of probably about, I'd give it almost a year worth of on and off tinkering when you've got a little bit more time than you're used to because of lockdown. This is a belt grinder, but a supremely overbuilt belt grinder. It is overbuilt to the point where you could not buy something like this if you really wanted to. This is genuinely a labor of love. My father has put in an obscene amount of time into building this. And it is awesome. It is awesome on every single degree. It's not finished yet, but a project like this rarely will ever be finished. But this is something that I don't think you'd see very often. So I thought I'd do a video showing it off, showing what it is, and giving you a little bit of a backstory and showing you the creation process of it. So let's get started. This is a completely aluminium frame built belt grinder. It's got two different movable and extending arms, one over here for the bed. So if I loosen this, the bed can extend and go back in, and that's how you tighten it. So you wouldn't want it to be that tight there. Then you would tighten it here to wherever you want. And then you have this, which is the platen, I guess you could call it. This is also movable for different sized belts, really. Different sized belts and also different head attachments. So here is a big wheel. It can basically accommodate any sized wheel on the front here. That's the biggest one that's the biggest size that you can do it on. I think it's about a 12-inch wheel. This right now is a flat platen with a tool steel guard. One thing about this belt grinder is that it was designed to be quite small and compact in a very, very busy garage. And you can see it's not too big for how much power it gives. This is I believe, a 1.5 kilowatt three-phase motor. Here's the controller for it. Well, the actual controller's in here, but this is the interface for it. Should turn on now. There you go. And this thing is built from the ground up out of 7071 aluminium, which gives you a lot more rigidity over 6061 aluminium. Well, I could be wrong if it's exactly 7071, but I know it's a 7000 series aluminium, which gives you quite a bit more rigidity out of it. And it's made out of almost entirely 12 mil flat stock. You can see there's a couple places where it's beefed up a little bit. And then probably the main features of this, I would say, are one, the easy retractable or easy loosening belt tensioner. So you can see here, this is on a what would you call it? It's on a ratchet, or it's on a latching switch. So you pull this down and there you go. See, now the belt is nice and tight. This over here, I can't remember exactly where this comes from, but this is the leveler. So you twist this up and down to level or to even out the belt when it's running. So if I push the forward button, you can see there it's running pretty straight. And if I do this, you have a look, if I twist this, you can see it goes more to one side or to the other side, so you can get it running perfectly true. All good. This controller system is actually really cool with this motor. It's got plenty power. It's also got effectively a braking system, so it uses the motor as a brake to slow down quicker. And then again, this, you would pull it forward to loosen the belt. You can see the ratcheting mechanism is not ratchet, but I guess it is a ratcheting mechanism is in there. You can see here this bar. My dad found that this big, long, thin piece was just a little bit too flimsy, so he added this as a bit of a stiffening piece. There's a little bit of play, but it's not from this bar anymore. It's from this joint over here, but in practice it doesn't really give any issues. So that's some of the coolest parts. One other cool part is the configurability of this, if you would say. So you can see there's this big gear shifter knob kind of thing here. What this is the way that this goes up and down is those pistons over there. So that's what keeps the tension up. Then there's this piston over here, which does something really cool. There's this slot cut in that I actually mold the slot for my dad, but there's this slot with this tensioner over there, and when you loosen that, you pull on this, what happens is the whole thing drops down. There you go. So now you see, once it was straight, it is now flat, so you can use it as just in a different orientation, really. There's no one specific reason why you would do it one way or the other. So now you can see, because it's on the side, it's got a bit of gravity hanging it down, which is where something like this will help bring it up. So if we put it forward, there you go. You can still get it pretty well centered, no matter whether it's on its side or face up. And you can do this. So you can put it on its side with that wheel as well if you really wanted to. And then it's just a matter of pulling it back up. Then you just lock it in place. And you'd obviously have to adjust that again, because it's not running exactly the way it was. All this is on a custom-made stand with a custom-made frame that my dad built for it, also out of 6061 aluminium. Or no, sorry, not 6061, 7000 series aluminium. The controller box here is just on 40 by 48 aluminium extrusion. And yeah, this thing is awesome. A little bit of a backstory about this thing. This started in the beginning of lockdown, or actually before lockdown, I think, where my father wanted to make a knife. And he wanted to use an old file, and we had that thing. Now, that little Ryobi belt grinder and I forget what these are called, mason wheel, I think, has been great for a while. It's not given any issues really. It doesn't really have any power to speak of, but it's been pretty good. But my dad, it just wasn't working. So my dad met with a couple guys, found out about a guy that basically builds these for a living and builds them for knife making for a living, essentially. That's where this came from. So he got this from him, and then he kind of built the rest of the machine so that he could build this knife. Now, the machine kind of took on a life of its own after that, and it is where it is now. My dad, I would give it over 10,000 hours. No, that sounds like a lot. Probably, definitely over 1,000 hours worth of work went into this. So a little bit of the specs on it. Like I said, I believe this is a 1.5 kilowatts. Have a look over there. Yeah, 1.5 kilowatts motor, 2 horsepower motor. So as big as you can go on a conventional circuit, on a single phase circuit. All of the, wait, let's see if I can try and find you an opening one. All of the joints are put together with these snap rings, and this is something called, oh, now I've got to remember, This is essentially the same kind of material that you would make. It's the same material that they would make polymer bushings out of. It's just that we got it in a big rod, and my dad made the bushings himself. These are 12mm chromed shafts that everything runs on. You can see this whole assembly for the moving platens is made up of flat sections. So I actually machined these surfaces to, I can't remember exactly, but I believe it was exactly 30 or 35 mil using, where is it? Using this fly cutter on this milling machine. Now this milling machine is a completely different story unto itself. It's been out of action for effectively half a year to a year, no, about a year. And me and my dad figured that out today. It was a loose connection, so that's a story for a different day. But anyway, I machined, you can see the fly cutter marks kind of there, machined these perfectly flat as I could anyway. You can see there's even a little bubble level here. I machined this. The rest of it was basically all cut out and finished by hand. This locking ratchet, or whatever you want to call it, was also made by hand. You can see it's all put together very, very, very much by hand, and with a lot of time and love. And now I don't think you can buy a machine like this for less than, I don't think you can buy a machine like this. I don't think you can buy a machine like this because it's frankly too much work. You can stall out the motor. You really can stall out the motor if you're using a really, really thick belt. You can see this is our belt collection, but if you're using a really, really thick belt and you're really trying to do it harsh cuts, but the material removal rate on this is honestly astonishing. So if I can give you a bit of a demonstration, let's grab just a little cut off piece of aluminium. That's about 1 mil, 1.5 mil aluminium. Just snug this up a bit. You can see that's running at about, not too fast, and it just eats through it. If we put that up a bit to 10, you can see this isn't a thick piece of aluminium at all, but it chews through metal. Wood as well, you'd need a bit of a different belt. This is a, let's say, medium coarse belt. It chews through metal at an alarming rate, especially when you're only used to something like that. This thing is fucking awesome. Yeah, it started life as something for my dad to do another project, and it became probably the biggest project he's ever done, maybe. And yeah, this thing is really cool. I love it. I love using it, and I thought it was worthy of a video and worthy of showing all of it. These are all my some other funny stories. These wheels my dad found were not well suited for this job, even though I think he got them for this job. They were effectively not flat, and they were actually curved in a bit, which meant that the belts would just run off and there was no real way to control them. So what he did was he ran them in the lathe down there, and he actually gave them a little bit of a bevel. This one as well, he gave it a little bit of a bevel. You can see the marks there from when he cut them, and he got them trued up to the point where it runs as well as it does now. That one I think actually runs okay without that. Some other things. This was actually featured at a local knife show. The guy that my dad knows was so impressed by it. This is someone who builds these things for a living. Was so impressed by it that he asked my dad if he could display it at the guy's booth at a local knife show or knife makers expo. And yeah, this is a labor of love, and I definitely think worthy of a video. Let's see if I can get a bit of a better shot of it there. Let's tension the belts. There you go. See, it's quite compact for the amount of power that it puts into it. You can, if you really wanted to, you could put on thinner wheels here. This also has the ability to be put at an angle, so you can cut at an angle. You can use this up here as a slack belt if you wanted to. The bed itself, as you can see, also can be pivoted if you need to cut a specific angle. The bed can be raised up and down if you really were so inclined to get it that accurate. And yeah, this thing is awesome. And stout too, like it does not move. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This thing is really cool. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.